What's going on, gamers? Another video for you today. Today is going to be a bit of a quicker one. Recently, if you've seen it, maybe you have not, I put out a video talking about my thoughts on the Gunsmith. For the most part, a lot of people, they found it useful, insightful. It let them see the Gunsmith from a new point of view. For other people, though, they wanted something a little more hands-on. I'll be honest, that's totally fair. I might be making jokes, but giving you guys examples and walking you through exactly the points I was making is only fair. So here we are for round 2 of the Gunsmith breakdown. Reminder, this is not me saying this is the correct way to build guns. Do it like this, blah, blah, blah. There is no correct builds. This is just my personal opinion, my personal take on how I like to use the Gunsmith, and how I think you guys can make your builds just a little bit better. All I'm trying to do is show you how to think on a bigger scale and get the most out of your weapons. Since I am quite familiar with it, I'm going to be using the K416 to showcase the builds today. I'm going to break the builds into the following 3 categories. We're going to have the corner watchers, we're going to have the average Joes, and then we're going to have the real shooters. When it comes to the builds, however, please remember that these are only example builds and things may be exaggerated just to get a point across. I'm going to build these guns live in front of you. I'm going to talk to you while I build them, and I'm going to show you kind of the progression with the Gunsmith and how things can evolve in each stage. So let's jump right in. All right, let's get started with the corner watchers. Picture this. It's your first day in Delta Force. You have no idea what you are doing. You hop in the Gunsmith. First thought on your mind is, how can I make my gun shoot really straight? You start clicking around in your attachments and you see, all right, whatever. These all do a lot of stuff. All of a sudden you see bang, control. This is most likely the only thing you're gonna start looking for. So you're gonna put the Spec Ops stock on. A lot of people run the Spec Ops stock. You're gonna click on the grip. You have no idea what any of this does. You're probably just gonna see double green and be like, yeah, sure, let's throw that one on. You might skip your mag entirely. You probably just don't even care. You'll be going here, you'll be like 30, 30. Maybe you even want a 45er, right? Maybe you're like, oh, I don't know. Sure, let's put on a big mag. Who doesn't want a big mag? You might go to your grip, you'll look around, blah, blah, blah. You'll say, I don't know. Oh, vertical and horizontal? Sure, I'm sure that's great. You'll come to your muzzle. You'll click around, you'll probably end up seeing, boom, control, maybe something like this. It's only green, no reds. You'll throw that on there. You'll look, barrel. Oh, this one's not bad, it's only green, blah, blah, blah. You'll come up here, you'll look for an optic that's probably familiar to you from like other games and stuff. A lot of people end up picking like the Recon, because it just looks so familiar. And then you'll be up here, be like, oh, patches, what do these do? And they'll click around, they'll most likely see control, stability, and they'll go, yay, that's cool. And then they'll get something that looks like this. Just it's a gun. They'll hop in the range, and they'll go like this. Wow, this gun shoots really well. Oh my God. That's just a straight line. Well, look at this strafe speed. This is atrocious. But they don't care because watch. It just goes in a straight line. So maybe at this point they built the gun, they might look up, oh, how do you make your gun better? And they'll be like, oh, calibrations. They'll go over here and they'll probably, more likely than not, go all the way to the right and get more stability, more control, right? But before we do that, let's reset and let's take a look at our control, okay? This is without calibrations. It's going up to the neck. Handling, 491, 382, 1.3. Again, this is before calibrations. Stability, 0.47, 0.25. If we do what the day ones are probably going to be doing is they're going to do all of this. They're going to want stability, they're going to want control, and they're just going to want a laser beam. So if we calibrate, and I won't even reveal the stats yet. Let's go back and let's shoot. It feels exactly the same. Exactly. But now when we strafe, look at how slow we are. Good Lord. This is terrible. You cannot be making plays with this at all. Hence, why I'm calling this the corner watchers, because all they can do is... This is it. This is their gameplay. This is it. They're jiggling like this. That's all they got. So, after the calibrations, right? Gun feels exactly the same. What does it feel like? That's all our control went down. And again, it's a vertical line, so it really... You're barely going to feel that. Handling 5.68 ADS speed, 3.82 sprint to fire, and a movement speed while ADS of 1.01. Look at just your calibrations, how much you have nerfed your movement for pretty much no extra control. Realistically, just pull your mouse a tiny bit more. This is, like I said in the other video, diminishing returns. This is, you're not going to feel this realistically in game. That's why this category is the corner watchers. These guns are probably something you're going to see, like I said, day ones be using. Maybe the first week they're still trying to learn the game. And yeah, these guns just, they do the job when someone's in front of you and you're in your scope. But unfortunately, you're really just going to be missing out on a lot of performance when you build a gun like this. Now, let's, from this, jump into the average Joe build. You've had the game under your belt for a little while now. You know, you're kind of getting the feel for it. You know what you like at this point to an extent. Maybe you come in, you're like, okay, I got some money. Let's buy the better barrel. You know, I learned that certain attachments have certain buffs. You know, this scope or this grip, sorry, has vertical control, vertical firing stability, vertical camera stability. Vertical sounds nice. Maybe you come in here, you're like, oh, you know, I learned again the vertical. Maybe I want vertical. A lot of people like to balance a horizontal compensator with a vertical. You know, maybe they try and get the best of both worlds again. Maybe they'll come in here. They might leave the control and stability patch. Maybe they'll realize, hey, I'm losing some handling, so they'll go to control. Control patches are just pretty much everyone's go-to. Maybe at this point you learned the 45er takes away some handling, so you'll go back. You'll just probably click a 30 because you have no idea. You learned what a mag mount is, so sure, you don't know what it does, but you put it on there because it's an attachment. And you finally learned at this point maybe what a laser is. So of course, like a Chad, you put on a purple laser because purple is correct. You learned what a kill flash is. You learned what scope glint is. You learned some stuff at this point. You have a little more game knowledge. You're still more likely than not calibrating all the way to the right. The average Joe is a scary area though, because some people in this area have more knowledge and some people don't, right? Someone in here could be calibrating all the way right, or they could come in here and understand that, hey, this gives me stability, my stock gives me stability, and my my muzzle even gives me stability. Maybe I can come in and get a little less stability, you know? Maybe I can get a little bit of that back. The average Joe isn't doing too much with calibrations, but maybe they'll hit 1, maybe they'll hit 2, but really they're not making any huge difference, right? So let's shoot this gun. Feels the exact same, but now look at our strafe. Just a tiny bit better, you know? It's not anything crazy, but we can actually peek someone maybe a little more confidently, a little bit of a wider swing, and we can make a little bit of movement, right? We can do a little stuff, but the gun is shooting the exact same still. Let's go over the stats. So all of a sudden, and the gun that shoots it better, even better. Handling, we're up to a 158. We were at a what? A 101? We're down to a 518 for ADS speed, 337. Stability, still arguably too stable. But again, this is the average Joe build. They're not breaking any barriers here, but they're starting to get guns that feel a little bit better. You can't knock these. This is probably what you're mostly going to see when you play the game, something similar to this. Now, let's get into the real shooters. These are the people that know the Gunsmith. They know exactly what's going on. They know their play style. They know what they like to do, when they like to do it. They know exactly what is going on. Character, gun, they know how everything works. What they are more likely than not going to do is they're going to come in here and they are going to spend time, right? Spend time. They've used this, for example, the K4, and this is the gun I use, so I can speak on this. They're going to understand that the K4 pretty much has no horizontal recoil, right? None. So this muzzle is a waste. Put another vertical on it, right? We're double vertical, that's fine, because it puts our control all the way down here. Look at that sudden jump in control. You're shooting, it's so much tighter now. Because you don't need to compensate for horizontal, because it pretty much doesn't have any. I know it looks like an S now, but when you're shooting this, you're really not going to feel it because it's just so tight. Look how close these bullets are together. The real shooters are going to come in here. They're going to understand, guess what? Certain mags do have certain buffs. This mag, this 30 rounder, has a stability buff, but this 30 rounder has a handling buff. So someone like me, I like handling. I will add the handling stock. You finally learned maybe the mag assist also gives free handling, just totally free. You're gonna finally change your rear grip. Oh look, this is just control, just handling, but I can get control and more handling from this grip. However, I am losing stability. We'll get back to that. So I'm playing for handling now. I'm learning. I'm looking around. Looking around here. These two stocks, look, increase the handling and an ADS movement speed buff. A raw buff straight to your movement speed, right? For someone who likes speed, that one's for me. I use the shadow buffer too because it has the most handling. If you want a little more control, you can use the 416 collapsible stock. I used to use it back in the day. However, I want my build as fast as possible, so I prefer the shadow buffer too, right? At this point, you've learned, hey, I like scopes that don't hurt my handling. Again, my speed. So if you click through, right, you've learned all of these scopes do have different effects. So if we, here, let's unequip this and let's go through all the scopes. So the 1x5 recon scope, we really liked it. However, it gives -8 handling. It does give +6 stability, right? And that's great if you like stability. I'm not saying don't use the scope. I'm saying is people at this level are conscious of that and they build around it. So whether they continue using the scope and make up for it in other aspects of the gun, or they change scopes like myself, you click here, I use the tactical riser. Why do I use the tactical riser? You lose control. However, you gain 2 handling, right? So if I put the riser on, all of a sudden I've gained 2 handling. I also like to use the Russian 2x scope. That takes away 2 handling. So if I put the riser on, and I put the Russian 2x on, all of a sudden I have lost no handling. This is a net 0. And I pretty much just get a free 2 handling out of it because I didn't lose and I didn't gain. It's just a net 0. I don't lose that handling, right? So at that point, you know, the gun is, you know, it's not bad. Let's go over the stats. So we made those changes. Control, we've gone back up a little bit because we took away the control stock and everything like that. Handling, we're at 285, 134, 250, and stability. The stability is pretty bad, right? So I didn't jump in a raid right away. I'm going over the stats as I'm building the gun. So if we come back here, we understand stability is really bad. Maybe we come back in here, and because of that, we put some patches on, and all of a sudden we have a little bit of buff and stability. Let's go over that. Just with patches, brought it down a little bit. The real magic comes in the calibrations, right? So if we go over our attachments, handling, ADS movement speed, handling, control. What does our mag give us? Extra handling. Forward grip, more stability, more control, blah, 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 right? So what we were going to do is calibrate to complement all the attachments we put on that maybe, you know, max out our handling stats. The one calibration that I will never change is the muzzle velocity. I will always, no matter what, increase the muzzle velocity. I want my bullets to get to the target as fast as possible. But our stability is bad, so we would have firing stability, right? You come in here, blah, blah, blah. We do not need this ADS movement speed anymore that we did in the last thing, right? We have enough handling, we have enough movement. We do need that stability back, right? If you wanted to, you can increase your ADS speed because did you see our control? We didn't need it anymore. Our control is so tight, so you can bring that back. If we go back here, again, we do want stability again. We want that. Our gun is already fast. I personally do not like this calibration effect, the aiming stability while breathing. All this does, the only thing that this calibration does is that when you are aiming on target and you're not moving, how much your scope sways, right? You can see my scope swaying a little bit, and you can see this stat right here. If you go to details, you go to stability. Current breath sway range, that is the only thing that calibration changes. I think it's very useless, and even if you're in diminishing returns, I would probably go with control. I think it's just more beneficial. I don't care if my scope moves personally. And then our stock, again, we useless. And we would you could do it at speed if you want, or more stability. So suddenly, because we went through and we complemented all of our speed, even though our calibrations do favor the right a lot, which I said was a big no-no, we can do that because of our attachments and what we have built overall. So if we go in, we can see our control, very tight, very good. Handling, all of a sudden, we are down to 252, 134, with a strafe movement speed, while ADS of 257, all with pretty decent stability, right? So this gun, all of a sudden, shoots like this. You can still shoot in a straight line, in an absolute straight line, but look at this, watch, ready? Look at this strafe speed, right? In a game where everyone is playing like a corner watcher, right? They're just doing this. If you wide swing someone like this, they're going to be caught off guard. They're probably going to die, right? That it's just, no one expects you to fly out so fast. And I think that's where the Gunsmith shines. You can build guns like this that still go in an absolute straight line. I'm barely pulling my mouse, but all of a sudden you can do this. If you get caught off guard, you can ADS. Look how fast this ADS speed is. I mean, it's insane. You can jump around a corner, ADS midair. Look at this. And boom, you're on target. So it's like, you can just have so much more maneuverability when you build guns and think about what you're doing while you're doing it. Know your play style. Obviously, if someone wants it even faster, like me personally, I would go down here and I would throw on handling, and I would go even faster than the 2.57. So if three patches takes me from 257 to 271, to 114 sprint to fire, 240 ADS speed, all of a sudden my gun is even faster. Look at this, from a sprint, on target, dead. I'll demonstrate it with gold ammo. Just gold ammo and gold armor just to really get the point across. Timing in this game benefits you so much. And when you have a gun that allows you to play fast, it's just life-changing, I'm gonna be honest. That's on gold armor from a sprint, 0.3 seconds. I mean, I think I rest my case. No, jokes aside though, I hope you guys learned something. I hope that makes sense. The evolution of a gun, what you can do with it. If you think about what you're doing, think about the attachments you're building, how the patches go into it, how the calibrations affect everything, and all the hidden stats that are on certain attachments. So I hope that makes sense. I hope this helps. I know a lot of people wanted hands-on, so there you are. That's my walkthrough for the builds, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye-bye.